Hello there, it's Jay here, and from Jay's Vintage Junk, and today we're back on with the Nuclear Enterprises Gamma Dosemeter. Let's see if we can put this thing back together and possibly see if we can get it working again. I've cleaned the case. It might not look like it's come up spectacular, but it's got all the grime off it. I'm not going to do anything about the yellowing on it. Basically, this plastic, it's over 40 years old now. It's in very, very poor state. I'm sure if I tried to retro bright this, yes, it might lighten it slightly, but I think it'd actually affect the strength of the plastic. It's already starting to crumble and decay, so I'm just going to clean it and I'm going to leave it as it is. Like I said, that's the colour it would have originally been inside there. So anyway, what I thought we would do, I've already just put the meter back in loosely in the actual case, and I'm just looking at putting the rest of the bits basically back together, and then we'll remount the circuit board, and then we'll have a little look. Perhaps, yeah, we'll have a look at the circuit board and perhaps changing a few of these capacitors, and then we'll see what we can get this thing to do. Let's see if we can even get it to do anything. I'm not even 100% sure exactly how to use one of these things. I can basically use a Geiger counter, but this isn't technically really a Geiger counter, it's a dose rate meter. And I'm surprised actually, I've been able to find basically no information about this thing whatsoever online, which for something which was used for by the MOD, I'm actually quite surprised by, because you can usually find some information on most of their old kit that's no longer classified or used anymore, unless it's something particularly secret or covert. It generally gets released to the public eventually. But in this instance, like I said, I've seen a few pictures of them, mainly from eBay listings online, and that's really has been about it. No articles about them. There's no chance of a manual, and certainly no chance of a service manual, which is a bit of a pain. I'm just going to turn that heater down, that's burning my legs. I think the weather's getting a little bit warmer, so hopefully I'll be able to get out and do some things outside soon. Here. Okay, that's on there. One last screw to put in here, and that's that subframe reattached. If I can pick the bloody washer up. There we go. Get in there, lovely. There we go. Now we need to reconnect. I think that should have grounded onto there, yeah. I've missed that. Little grounding lines everywhere on this thing. I think that should have grounded to there. There we go. yeah, that looks like it's meant to be there. Now we need to reconnect these two. I'm not happy with that. Right, a little bit of extra solder to them. Oops. That's better. There we go, that's better. Flatten them back down now. That's how they were. Right, now we need to reattach that board. Goes that way round, and we need to reattach this, which goes, does it go in like that? That goes in like that, I think. Yeah, that looks about right. And I think that was attached with these no, it weren't, it was attached with these screws here. I think. I think those ones held the PCB down. Now this is tricky, because you've got to get the washer and the screw to line up with two holes in a very tight space. But we'll see if we can do it. Yeah, I think we're about right with that one. Once we get one in, the second one's actually a lot easier. It's just getting that first one in and lined up, which is always the pain. I think we're in. I think I was missing there. Perhaps that is the wrong screw. Perhaps it is one of these longer ones. Well, that's definitely seems to be going in now. Yep, oh, it's one of them ones. So I was trying to put the wrong screw in the wrong hole. And hopefully this one should be a lot easier. Yeah, that one went straight in that time. And there we go. That's that's the main part of the actual instrument put back. Oh, that's a partant actually. Let's do that at this point. Need to reattach these here. So it's a washer on first. Then black goes to negative. Red goes to purple, sorry, goes to positive. Remember that from the last time we had this apart. It was the last time I was working on this. Okay. And then put the big nuts back on. These really are overkill for the wiring that goes to this meter, but never mind. Just give them a final tighten with the pliers, I think. That's okay now. There we go. And that's the meter connector back up. Now, I wonder if we should change that capacitor there. Well, we've got the back of the board out, because that capacitor is not going to be doing us any favours, I don't think. We could get the tester out and actually test it. In fact, let's do that. Let's get the tester out. And we'll replace it if it's saying it's bad, but if not, I think we'll leave it there. So actually, that one doesn't look in too bad a condition. I'll have to zero the compensate this thing first. Switch it on. Right, there we go. That's good now. Now it's a 470 at 35 volts, so 470 at 35 volts. We should get about an ohm. So let's connect this up. Well, that's right, 0 ohms, so that could be dead short. Let's have a look. Never like a reading like 0 ohms, it's like a bit too good to be true, that. So let's get the older tester out. Let's test on resistance across that capacitor and see what we've got. It's not. It's about 400 ohms there. Let's try it the other way around. Well, that's what you'd expect a capacitor to show. I think we might take it out of circuit and try it. In fact, we'll try it out of circuit on the other capacitance meter and measure it for actual capacitance. If I can remember where my other capacitance meter is at the moment. What have I done with it? Is it here or is it elsewhere? It could be elsewhere. Sod it, let's just change it as a matter of course. Yeah, let's just change it. 470 UF at 35 volts. I've got some 470 at 50 volts, one of them will do. It's not ideal because it's a radial rather than axial, but it will fit. We can make it fit. So yeah, we'll put this in its place. This is a new one. So I'm just scraping the legs on this capacitor because it's been in a storage box for a while, and the legs do get a little bit tarnished up, and sometimes if you just give them a scrape it helps it solder on easier. Let's get this old one out anyway. Add a little bit of solder to that because that's going to be a pain because it's like a big ground plane. There we go. The extra solder will just help melt the joint. Hopefully. If that were the easy, ridiculously large soldering iron to put this on. In which case we may have to think about plan B. No, there we go. Sometimes all you need to do is add a little bit of extra solder. Let's hope we can get, there we go. Fortunately it was the last thing on there, so we could just lift it off. Positive going that way. So it's probably smoothing this. You can put that in place there. Bend that leg round and bend it down and kink that down and solder that in place. Give it a bit of solder. Yeah, that's a better position for it. Got that leg, just let that solder go off and we can snip that little extra bit of leg off there. There we go. We'll bend this leg round and bend it back round that tag that had the other, that we just desoldered the old capacitor from. Now the legs on this are slightly thicker actually, but we can still get, yeah, he says. Still it'll get it round there. In fact, I think I need some pliers or something just to help me with that. Not really snip some pliers. Where are my pliers gone? Why is it whenever you want pliers all you can find are side cutters? Whenever you there are my pliers. Whenever you want side cutters all you can find are bloody pliers. To hold that down while we apply a little bit of solder there. Oops, moved that too soon then. There we go. And that's set. We can just bend that capacitor flat. I know it doesn't look as good as the original, but at least it shouldn't be electrically leaky. It doesn't look too bad there. Right, so we can pop this board back in position. And there's no chance of it getting flexed or bent or anything. Because all the other components we currently want to work on are on this side of the board. So let's get this thing mounted back up, and then we can look at changing some of these other capacitors. We can put it back together and give it a try. And if it doesn't work this time, then I think we'll be having a part 3 where we possibly look at some of these transistors there. Because the other fault we could have is we could have a bad transistor in it as well. Being what it's been through, it's certainly been through the wars a little bit. And that capacitor back, I don't know, alright, it's still actually connected to that resistor, so it doesn't matter if it touches it. Let's put that one back in there. Oops. I'm not sure where my other capacitor tester is. I'm sure it should be around here. It should be in that drawer that I've just got my other one out of, but such is life. Whenever you go and go to get something where you're absolutely certain you know where it is, it's never there. Right, the last one of these, and then I think we could put the Geiger tube back in, and then we'll do them last capacitors, I think. There we go. We've got the tube here. Now, like I said, we still don't know whether this is actually 100% okay, but we've just got an idea that it's probably, well, it's not broken, which is the most important thing. Because we were, at first we did wonder whether perhaps the rattling was the fact that this tube had been smashed, but no, it's not been smashed. Just need to reconnect it. Twist them wires and we'll give them a 10. They're tinned up. With a clean off. The remnants of the old wire off the 2 posts in here. Oops. There we go, that's one bit off. That's red, so we'll resolder red while we're in here so we don't forget. Come on, solder. Oops. Offside, I'll have to get more solder to that pin. This probably isn't the most enthralling video I've ever made, I must admit. That's something a bit different. There we go, that's better. That one's on, and now we need to do the black. Come on. Okay, and let's try adding a little bit of solder. There we go. There we go, that's off. Just a little bit more solder on the pin. There we go. And then we can solder this back on. That's it. Right, so that's the Geiger tube soldered back in place. Well, back to its terminals. We now need to just get it back in place and get its brackets on that hold it there. Now let's try this first one. Okay. Now this one's got to take this little ground strap off the Geiger tube on there as well. Put that through there. And not catch the wire, of course. Now it's just a case of guiding this thing into position. There we are. I think once I get this first one in, the second one will be a breeze. That's the first one. I won't do it completely tight, I'll just do it a little bit until I get the next one in and on. Right, that's in position. Again, this one should be considerably easier. Those, of course, are the famous last words. Watch this one be an absolute mare now. There we go. That wasn't too painful. That's in there. Let's tighten this one back up. There we are. That's the Geiger tube back in position. Hopefully in the correct position there. So all we've really got to do now, is change, we'll start by changing those two capacitors there. I don't think I've got a 1.5 UF in stock, so I'm probably going to leave that there for now. I haven't got anything to replace that one with, and I haven't got anything to replace that one with. Those are 100 UF at 20 volts, those are 100 UF at 40 volts, those are 2.2 UF at 63 volts. I think I can definitely change those for. Let's see what we've got we can change those for. Again, I think we'll be using radial capacitors rather than axial, but it's not a major issue, that. It's not going to be a problem. Right, let's see what we've got in here. Well, we've got 2.2s, so we can change them 2.2s. We should have some hundreds, so we've got plenty of hundreds. So 40 volts. see if we've got anything with higher voltage rating for the other two. 35 volts. There we go. So basically we've got 200 UF capacitors to replace those two 100 UF capacitors there. We've got another 200 UF capacitors to replace those two 100 UF capacitors there, and we've got two 2.2 UF capacitors to replace those two 2.2 UF capacitors there. So let's start with these two up here. Let's get them out. The only reason I am changing these is because they've obviously been wet, and you can see the powder. I don't know whether they've been leaking electrolyte or not, so I'm just going to change them as a matter of course. Now, as we can see from this, the negative is this way. We've got 63 and we've got a minus on that side, so yeah, the black stripe there is your negative. There's a bit of muck and rubbish down there. So we're not going to try and make this thing absolutely perfect, but it would be nice to see if it will function. Let's take the new capacitor. Fortunately they're that small, these new ones. In fact, we could even do that old trick, bend that leg so it's parallel like that. And we'll put a little bend on this already, so we can get it round the post. There we go, that should do it. Yeah, we can get that over there. Bend that back round like that. Bring that round, bend that round there. The whole idea of this technique is you get a good mechanical connection before you actually solder the components in place. Oops. Pardon me for banging the camera stand then. Solder that back in there. Solder it that side. There we go. And we'll do, I don't know why I've just put the iron away, because we're going to do that one straight away. Just add a little bit of solder to that. Some of this solder's quite corroded. A little bit of fresh just helps it. There we go. Come on, out you go. There we go, that's off. Again, we'll get the capacitor, we'll bend the positive leg round. Oops, don't know what's pop off there. Get back on. There we go. Twist that round. Like that. Then we can solder that in place. Some solder, there's some solder. A little bit thicker, but it doesn't matter. Let's dab that on there. Get my iron clean. Dab that on there. There we go. That's them two changed. Right, let's do these 100s up here. Now they're showing that positive is on that side. So they're really well attached, so let's use the pliers. There we go, that's it. Okay, remember positive is that way, and we're going to use these to replace that. Okay, we'll solder that side in place, and then we'll move round and we'll get the other side, I think. Okay, so we'll solder that there. Snip that little bit of excess off, and we can straighten that up. And again, we'll solder that in place. There we go. I've done it again. I've put my soldering iron away, and I'm just about to take that one out. I'm going to keep these capacitors because I'm going to test them at a later date. And all I'm doing with these ones is just forming a loop like that. That can pop over the leg, and I can just get hold of that with the pliers and just pull it round. Like that. I'll solder that in place. Some solder. Snip off that. these capacitors I'm replacing are a much lower grade, but as I said, this thing isn't going into active service or anything, so it's not really a problem. Not unless we have a nuclear war, that is. Then at least I'm set up with my own dose rate meter. There we go. Solder that in place. There we are. We've got 2 more to do, and then we can reassemble this thing and see whether it's going to behave any differently than it did last time. It would be really nice if I had a manual for this thing, so I could actually see how it's meant to fully operate. But beggars can't be choosers. These are the most suspect of the capacitors we've changed. They definitely look a little on the manky side. They've definitely had something, a leak in there from the end. And yeah, they're the ones. These are the ones that I've been most concerned about. Now, the question is going to be, how are we going to fit them? I think they're going to have to fit like that. My legs are only just going to be long enough, I think. I think I can tack them in though. What I will do is I'll just tin up the legs on the ends first. Oops. Just make life a little bit easier for installing. So this isn't the ideal way of putting these in, but it'll do. It's not soldered. No. Let's just try bending that one round, see if we can get it to bend around this tiny little bit. Yes, we can. There we are. That's just hooked around. Hopefully we can now solder it in place. There, that's better. That's nice and solid now. Let's try and get this next one out. I think the worst of the corrosion seems to be around here as well. I don't know if something leaked into it, or it's sat in water or something like that, or it was just the fact it's been in a damp garage for a very, well, damp storage for a very long time. Yeah, this one's the same. It's definitely showing signs of leakage from the end there. So we'll tin up this one. Like that. Okay, that seems to have attached. Let's see what we can do on this side. gain. I think I might be able to just bend this round a little bit and get a slightly more secure fixing on this side. Yes, I can. At least I hope I can. Let's get the pliers, get these on it. There we are. Bend that round. And hopefully we can solder that in position. There we go. So like I said, they were the two that I was more concerned about, because they were the two that had definite signs of distress on them. The other ones, they're looking a little gummy, let's put it that way. So we'll test them all at a later date. I think we're about safe. We can perhaps put the bottom back on temporarily, and we can have a look at seeing whether we can actually get this thing to run. I think that's... yeah, that's going in. There we go. That's the case back together, and well, it's a little rattle, but nothing nothing horrendous. Not like it was when we first started with this thing. This goes back on. That's what takes the batteries out. As you can see, I got the battery compartment as clean as I could. It's never going to be perfect, but it's not terrible now. There should be a bushing that fits on there, and I think that should be set in the off position like that. Okay, off, battery check, on, battery check, off. That seems okay. Let's try putting the batteries back in. Let's move that out of the way. My radiation source. And let's shove the batteries back in and see what it does. And the batteries are fitting in okay. Let's try battery check. Oh, I don't seem to have anything. I did solder the battery terminals back on, didn't I? And then battery terminals aren't horrendous. They're not good, but they're not horrendous. Let's try that again. I've just tried bending the contacts slightly. No, that's not looking good, is it? Oops. Let's see if we need to leave it on battery check for a second or two. I'm sure it moved right up last time. Oh well. We may have made the situation worse. Yep, off, on. Battery check again. Just to make sure we are getting 3 volts out of them batteries. so we're getting 1 volt out of them batteries. Well, there's a bugger. Well, there's a bugger, isn't it? It's just, oh, I'm on 200 volts there, no bloody wonder. There, 1.6, that's okay. Yeah, 1.6 or thereabouts, so between there and there, nothing. Oh. What about between there and there? Ah, no, that's right, 3 point... So, it's getting voltage. I think this is going to be a there's going to be a part 3 to this, because I've run out of time for this tonight. So I'm going to upload what I've done so far, and I think it's ended in a bit of a fail for tonight. But we will get back on this and try and figure out why it's now completely dead. I'm sure it's something simple that I've done. Oh, and that's coming off. I think the hot water that I wash the thing in's loosen the glue there slightly, but that's easy enough to, we can stick that back down. But yeah, join me in part 3 where we find out why this thing is no longer actually doing anything at all. So I hope you enjoyed that little update. Pity it didn't end on a slightly better note, but these things happen. So I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching and goodbye.